Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us here at the First Alert Desk. My name's Karli Barnett. We want to give you a look at some of the top stories that we have been following today. Some quick programming notes for you. You can join us tonight at 10 on Peachtree TV and 11 on WANF. But remember, the news is always on AtlantaNewsFirst.com and our Atlanta News First app. Of course, you can watch us live wherever you stream as well. So we want to get to what's been really our top story since yesterday. We were first on the scene. Atlanta News First was first at the scene of this standoff that was happening in Midtown Atlanta. You'll remember if you live or work in this area near the Four Seasons Hotel that it shut down traffic for several hours while police investigated reports of an armed person. We learned that a suspect fired multiple guns multiple times. That person was taken to the hospital and has been charged at this point. But we do have some new information. We have new 911 calls that reveal just how chaotic the scene was that eventually led to this SWAT standoff at the luxury Midtown Hotel and condos. So our reporter Chelsea Beimfor, she breaks this down for us and speaks to neighbors who said this is not the first time that they encountered this suspect.
I'm at the Four Seasons Hotel Atlanta, and we have a resident of ours that just pointed a gun at the association manager.
Newly released 911 calls reveal what happened inside the luxury Four Seasons Atlanta Hotel on Tuesday.
I went up to check out the mess, and the resident at the end of the hallway was pointing a gun at me, screaming, "Do not come this way. I don't want to hurt anybody."
A man who appears to be the condo association manager at the Four Seasons tells dispatchers that another resident reported someone throwing items into the hallway on the 33rd floor. A firearm in his direction.
His name is Dr. Jay Berger. He is known to have firearms and weapons in his unit, along with lots of Nazi paraphernalia.
The Georgia Bureau of Investigation says when law enforcement arrived, Berger barricaded himself into his apartment unit and fired shots towards officers through the walls. Atlanta police officer Jonathan Caparasso fired back and was injured, possibly by shrapnel. Berger then moved to the balcony where a SWAT sniper shot and wounded him. No other residents or guests were hurt.
I'm just really glad that nobody was injured, and I hope the man gets the help he needs. And Atlanta, the first responders did a great job.
Now, we have learned that Berger's injuries are not life-threatening, and once he is released from the hospital, he will be booked into the Fulton County Jail. One of the other stories that we've been following here at Atlanta News First is the long-running, in fact, the state's longest ever criminal trial that involves rapper Young Thug and his connection to YSL. Of course, prosecutors trying to prove that that is a criminal street gang, but his attorneys are saying it's simply the name of his record label. The big news that came out of court today is that two more co-defendants in this case have taken plea deals. Our reporter Brittany Ford was in the courtroom today. So it was today that Rodelius Ryan, a.k.a. Lil Rod, pleaded guilty to one count of violating Georgia's Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, or RICO Act. He'd previously been convicted of the 2019 murder of Jamari Holmes and is already serving a life sentence for that and was sentenced to another 10 years in time served. Also today, Marquavius Huey, a.k.a. Quay, pleaded guilty to one count of RICO violation and reduced sentences on charges of robbery and firearms possession charges. Meanwhile, this follows Nichols, who was sentenced to 20 years in prison with 7 to be served on probation. That happened yesterday. So now at this point, 3 co-defendants have taken plea deals in this case. The mistrial motion, we've been talking about that. That is still up in the air. No word on that yet, but As we mentioned, prosecutors trying to prove rapper Young Thug is part of a criminal street gang, but his attorneys say no, that is his record label. So we have all of this for you, gavel to gavel, on Atlanta News First. If you want to read more of the background in this case, we know there are a lot of twists and turns. There's been a lot of developments. You can do that on AtlantaNewsFirst.com and through our Atlanta News First app. And can you believe it? We are less than a week away now from Election Day. So we know that on Friday is the last day of early in-person voting. Keep that in mind ahead of Election Day come Tuesday. And our political reporter, Doug Reardon, he was out and about today. He learned that more than 3 million Georgians have already cast their ballots early. And he spoke with the chair of the state elections board. He was visiting the precincts today, making sure everything is all ready to go ahead of Election Day.
I'm amazed how smooth it's been.
Touring several Fulton County polling sites, State Elections Board Chairman John Furvier says so far, so good.
So it's important for our board to get out there and see what's actually happening in the polls.
It wasn't Furvier's first or last stop in Georgia. He's already toured early voting sites in Camden and Gwinnett counties and will hit more counties before Election Day on November 5th. Fulton was an especially notable stop for the chairman. The State Elections Board reprimanded Fulton County in May and installed a team of election monitors after it was discovered the county had double-scanned 3,000 ballots during a recount of the 2020 race. The mistake didn't change the outcome, but this year, Fulton County Elections Chair Sherry Allen says they're being extra diligent.
That's what we're doing. That's the whole point of going out, looking to see what the poll managers need, what the workers' experience are like. We talk to poll watchers, observers, making sure that we can show that Fulton County will run a safe, secure, transparent, accurate election.
Furvier and the state board made national headlines this month when a court blocked some last-minute changes, including a rule that would require counties to hand count ballots on election night. Furvier was opposed to the changes, which a court blocked last week.
I think that all of our board members are dedicated to what they're doing. We have some differences of opinion, but that's America, frankly.
At a Wednesday press conference, Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger said he'd certify the state's results no matter who wins the White House.
That I will hold both parties accountable to you, the voters of Georgia, and I stand ready to defend the results of the election.
Now, former President Donald Trump is sending Florida Congressman Byron Daniels to Atlanta tomorrow. He has spoken at most of Trump's rallies, and Vice President Kamala Harris, she will be sending businessman Mark Cuban here to Atlanta tomorrow for a small business town hall. So even if they are not physically present right now in the state of Georgia, they are still sending their campaigns right here to Metro Atlanta. Of course, we know just how critical Georgia is in all of this. All right, shifting gears now, of course, Halloween is tomorrow, and so we had to end it on kind of a little spooky note for you here. This is a Roswell family. They have gotten incredibly creative with their Halloween decor setup, and in fact, they tell our reporter Sawyer Bussey that their outdoor handmade decorations all started coming together about 2 decades ago. You're going to want to take a look at this.
Sometimes it's the things that enamored you as a child that you find again as an adult. This is true for Rochelle Nation.
As a kid, we celebrated all holidays, but Halloween was really special at our house.
Nowadays, her home is a creative outlet during Halloween.
20 years ago, we started decorating for Halloween. We just had a couple of decorations at the time, and our neighbors commented on our display, and from there, it just grew and got bigger and bigger into what it is today.
The yard is full of homemade decorations.
Each year, I come up with a new idea, and my husband creates it and brings it to life. So this started out as a skeleton standing in front of a cauldron, and then I said we need to make it better. And so it became a witch, and we found this stick in the yard and turned it into this moving prop.
Each year, hundreds of trick-or-treaters stop by.
We hand out full-size candy bars, so we know exactly how many trick-or-treaters come to our house. So last year we had over 300 trick-or-treaters stop by.
She's expecting 300 plus this year. Rochelle says she's trying to spread some Halloween joy to anyone who might come passing through.
And it's just a great, awesome opportunity for all of our community members to come together, our neighbors, our friends.
But stay on your toes because you never know what you could run into. In Roswell, Sawyer Bussey, Atlanta News First.
How incredible is that? Amazing. You know that their house is going to be packed tomorrow. We'd love to see it. Now, I know a lot of you want to know your trick-or-treat forecast. That's probably why many of you are tuning in here. So let's go ahead and take a live look outside. What I do know from speaking with First Alert meteorologist Patrick Pete is that you're definitely not going to need the jacket over your costume tomorrow, that's for sure. Because, I mean, hey, you spend all this work putting on your costume. You want to be able to show it off. You want it to look good. But also the good news is that there is no rain tomorrow. And obviously, that's a huge damper on Halloween. So we will get to your trick-or-treat forecast here in just a minute. In the meantime, we're looking live here outside of Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It is a beautiful evening. And go ahead and get ready for a gorgeous evening tomorrow. All right, I'm going to go check in with First Alert meteorologist Patrick Pete and see if he is ready. All right, I found him. He was enjoying a pre-Halloween sweet treat, but I managed to rope him in.
If anybody knows me, y'all, they know I love a nice, fresh homemade cookie. And if there are fresh homemade cookies anywhere in the newsroom, I am going to sniff them out, and I'm going to enjoy them. Good evening, everybody. That's why this shirt fits a little snug right now, but we're going to let that ride. I hope y'all are having a fantastic Halloween Eve, is what we're going to call it, right? It is nice to be with you all. We're going to dive into this forecast. Y'all know I always say I'm going to keep you for a good time, not a long time. So we're not going to change that up at all tonight. We did pick up a trace of rain today at Hartsville-Jackson. Some spotty showers, trace of rain. So we are not going to have a completely dry month, but if it verifies at the end of the night, that trace will still be tied for the driest. It just will not be singularly the driest. And that is, of course, assuming that tomorrow we don't get any of those spotty showers at the airport. Friday. Assuming Friday we don't get any of those spotty showers at the airport. If you guys can bear with me for about 10 seconds, we'll switch one more thing, and then we can dive into what overall isn't a bad forecast. We're also keeping an eye on the tropics. We'll give you a quick tropical update and let you know what we are spying in the Caribbean. And let's get this YouTube chat back up just in case anyone decides to chime in. We can have a conversation about it. All righty, 72 degrees right now here in Atlanta, so it's still warm. Actually warmer than we were yesterday evening at this hour. We're dealing with a nice breeze, roughly 5 to 10 miles per hour across the area. 4 degrees warmer. That's a win. It's going to be nice and comfy through the next few hours. We'll be rain-free, partly to mostly cloudy as we head into the early morning hours. And because we'll have clouds around, I do think that we will be milder again for the start of the day. So it'll be pretty much low 60s for morning lows, which sounds great. It's great. I love it. Most of you love it. But just so that we can get our minds wrapped around where we should be this time of year, because I know that whenever we do get cooler, everybody's going to be like, oh, it's getting cold. We should be at 49 degrees for an overnight low. So we are very warm. So whenever we do get cool, it's going to be because we're supposed to. But that is not in the cards for us this evening. It is going to be very, very mild through the overnight. Expecting partly cloudy skies to dominate the forecast for your Halloween. It's going to be a dry day, but you can see that line of scattered rain and rumbles of thunder moving into central Alabama along that cold front. That is going to fizzle out as it moves our way, and just some spotty showers is all we're going to see on Friday. That means that your Halloween forecast honestly could not be any better. I don't know if you were with us in the 5 o'clock newscast at around 5. I guess it had to have been around 5:39, 5:40. We kind of broke down the last 5 Halloweens, and 2 of the 5 have been in the mid-70s, and both of those days were rainy. All of the other ones were in the low to mid-60s, and they were dry. So typically, based off of the last 5 years, you're either warm with rain or you are dry and cool. We're going to be warm and dry, so a different setup than we've seen the last 5 years. Upper 70s through the 3 o'clock hour. We think that we'll hit 80 degrees at the airport for an hour or two, and then still hanging out in the 70s through 9 o'clock, which means that no matter if you're taking the kids out for trunk or treat, if you're letting the kids leave the house at 7, 8 o'clock to go trick or treating, or if you yourself as a grown up is out doing some real trick or treating and having a good time and, you know, drinks and spades and all that other mess. Still very, very warm through the evening, so no one needs a jacket. It's going to dip into the low 60s again through the overnight to kickstart Friday, and then we'll have some of those spotty showers around. I do think it's areas north and west of the city that have the best chance of picking up on a spotty shower. Can't completely rule out some of that moving into the perimeter. The latest model runs tries to bring at least a sprinkle or two, kind of like we saw today, but better rain chance north and west. I'm looking at you in Chattooga and Floyd counties, as well as Gilmer, Gordon, Fannin counties. Rain chance diminishes as we head into the afternoon. We'll get a break in clouds or two, and that'll allow temperatures to warm into the upper 70s, flirt with 80 degrees, and then trend cooler. So all in all, good stretch for the next 48 hours. We continue that warming trend into the weekend. 81 degrees Saturday, a little bit cooler Sunday. Looks like we'll have a wind shift and a few more clouds around, and we'll trend cooler as we head into Monday as well. To everyone who has put off the opportunity to voice your opinion in the 2024 election, this is your official public service announcement. You cannot blame the meteorologist for not voting on Election Day. Can't do that because it's dry and it's 80 degrees, well above average, very comfortable. It's looking good. So if you want to put it off until Election Day, I don't like lines, so I early voted. I'm just going to be honest, but handle your business on Election Day if that's your thing. Hopefully it is, because we should all, you know, voice our, you know, but we're not going to get into that. I ain't telling you who to vote for. I'm just telling you to vote. 81 degrees on Wednesday with a spotty chance for showers around. We're keeping an eye on the tropics. There's nothing out there right now. There's a couple of models that are trying to pick up on an area of low pressure developing, a broad area of low pressure, and we're getting a whole lot of different resolutions with that. And the resolutions have been going all over the place over the course of the last week. So there's been no change in how the National Hurricane Center sees this. There's not been an increase or a decrease because there's still about the same number of models picking up on something happening. Right now, about a 40% chance that we could get a depression out of this, something that we'll stay on top of in the First Alert Weather Center. And as soon as we start to get a little bit more cohesion, a little bit more agreement in some of the data, we'll start showing you some model data again. But right now, it would just really be that internet stuff that goes viral for no reason. You know, remember, I don't know if you guys, who all you follow on Twitter, Facebook, but I saw someone post a picture, a graphic from like a one singular weather model run of the tropics. They posted it about a week and a half ago, and it had Hurricane Patty hits Florida Election Day. And I was like, that's 12 days from now when y'all are posting this. But yeah, so we try not to show you things until we start to have at least a little bit of consensus on what's going to happen. And we don't have consensus right now. The guidance is split with most of the major models. And whenever you look at the ensembles, which are basically variations of one model that just show a lot of different outputs by tweaking little things, little initial data points or whatever the case may be. Whenever you look at those ensembles, you get varied different things happening. And what that's telling us is that we just need to keep an eye on it and look for a little bit more consistency. Anyways, I said good time, not a long time, so I'm going to stick to that. I hope you guys got what you needed to get from this forecast. And if you didn't, the beautiful thing about it is Atlanta News First does not stop here on the Atlanta News First Plus platform. We have 2 more newscasts that you can catch us on Peachtree TV at 10, and then you could catch Meteorologist Fair Campagna at 11 on Atlanta News First, which is your CBS station. Alrighty, so I'm going to leave you with the 7-day, and you guys can catch us in about an hour and 40 minutes. We will be back on the airwaves. Y'all have a fantastic dinner break evening, and we'll see you when we see you.